Right now, something big is happening in the XRP market, and if you are not paying attention, you might miss one of the most important moments in recent crypto history. Because the signals we are seeing are not normal, the price behavior is not random, and the timing is not a coincidence, as XRP is showing signs of a massive breakout that could change everything for holders who understand what is going on behind the scenes. And while most people are still confused or waiting for confirmation, smart investors are already watching the key levels very closely because this kind of setup does not appear often. And when it does, it usually leads to explosive moves that surprise the majority of the market. The first thing to understand is that XRP has been in a long period of consolidation where the price moves sideways and creates pressure. And this pressure builds up slowly over time, like a spring being compressed tighter and tighter. And the longer this phase lasts, the stronger the eventual breakout becomes because energy is being stored in the market structure. And now we are reaching a point where that stored energy is close to release, which is why many analysts are calling this moment critical. If you look at the current price action, you can clearly see that XRP is forming a pattern that traders often associate with strong upward moves because the resistance levels are being tested multiple times. And each time the price pulls back, it does not drop significantly, which shows that sellers are losing strength while buyers are becoming more confident. And this shift in power between buyers and sellers is one of the earliest signs that a breakout is coming. Another important factor is volume because volume tells us how much interest there is in the market. And recently, XRP has started to show increasing volume during upward movements, which means more participants are entering the market on the buying side. And when volume increases alongside price strength, it usually confirms that the move is supported and not just a temporary spike. And this adds more weight to the breakout theory. At the same time, we need to consider the broader crypto market environment because XRP does not move in isolation. And when the overall market shows signs of strength, especially with major cryptocurrencies stabilizing or trending upward, it creates a favorable environment for altcoins like XRP to perform even better. And this is exactly what we are starting to see now as confidence slowly returns to the market after periods of uncertainty. Um, there is also a psychological element that plays a huge role in moments like this because most retail investors tend to wait until a breakout is fully confirmed before entering. But by that time, a large part of the move has already happened. And this is why understanding early signals is so important because it allows you to position yourself before the crowd arrives. And when the crowd finally jumps in, it pushes the price even higher, creating that explosive effect everyone talks about. Moreover, XRP has a history of sudden and powerful price movements where it stays quiet for a long time and then moves aggressively in a short period, catching many people off guard. And this behavior is part of what makes XRP unique compared to other cryptocurrencies because it does not follow a slow and steady pattern. Instead, it builds pressure silently and then releases it quickly, which is exactly the type of setup we are potentially seeing right now. What makes this situation even more interesting is the timing, because multiple factors are aligning at once, including technical patterns, increasing volume, and improving market sentiment. And when these elements come together, they create a strong foundation for a breakout that is not just short term, but could lead to a larger trend shift. However, it is important to stay realistic and not get carried away by hype because even the strongest setups can fail if key levels are not broken with conviction. And this is why traders are closely watching specific resistance zones because a clean break above those levels with strong volume could confirm that the breakout is real, while a rejection could delay the move and extend the consolidation phase. Right now, XRP is at a point where the next move will likely define its direction for the coming weeks. And this is why many are calling it a decisive moment because once the breakout happens, it could trigger a chain reaction in the market, attracting more attention, more buyers, and ultimately driving the price higher at a faster pace. And this is just the beginning of what could unfold, because in the next part, we will go deeper into the exact levels, the hidden signals, and the key indicators that are making experts believe this breakout is not just possible, but highly probable. Now, the focus shifts to the exact levels and signals that are making this situation so important, because in markets like this, everything comes down to key price zones. And right now, XRP is sitting just below a resistance level that has rejected the price multiple times in the past. And every time the price comes close to this level, it creates tension in the market because traders are watching to see whether it will break or fail again. And this repeated testing of resistance is not a weakness. It is actually a sign of strength, because it shows that buyers are not giving up and are consistently pushing the price higher with each attempt. When a resistance level is tested many times, it usually becomes weaker because sellers who were previously defending that level start to lose confidence. And at the same time, buyers gain more control. And this shift does not happen suddenly, it builds slowly. And then at one point, the resistance breaks. And when it breaks, it often leads to a strong and fast move upward, because all the orders that were holding the price down get absorbed and new buyers rush in at the same time. Another key signal that cannot be ignored is the structure of higher lows that XRP has been forming, because instead of dropping back to previous lows, the price is holding stronger levels each time it pulls back. And this creates an upward pressure that pushes the market closer and closer to a breakout point. And this type of structure is commonly seen before major moves, because it reflects growing confidence among investors who are willing to buy at higher prices. In addition to price structure, momentum indicators are also starting to shift in a positive direction. And while many people do not fully understand these indicators, they provide valuable insight into the strength of a trend, because they measure how fast and how strongly the price is moving. And right now, XRP is showing early signs of momentum building up, which means that if the breakout happens, it could be supported by strong follow through instead of fading quickly. Volume behavior is also becoming more interesting at this stage, because during previous attempts to break resistance, the volume was relatively low, which made it easier for the price to get rejected. But now we are seeing an increase in participation, especially during upward moves. And this suggests that larger players might be entering the market, because significant volume does not come from small retail traders alone. It usually indicates institutional or high capital involvement. At the same time, liquidity plays a crucial role in how the breakout will unfold, because markets tend to move toward areas where there is a high concentration of orders. And right above the current resistance level, there is likely a cluster of stop orders and breakout entries waiting to be triggered. And once the price reaches that zone and starts to break through, it can create a rapid chain reaction where multiple orders get executed at once, pushing the price higher in a short period of time. There is also an emotional aspect to consider, because many traders who missed earlier opportunities are waiting for confirmation before entering. And once they see a strong breakout, they are likely to jump in quickly, adding even more buying pressure. And this fear of missing out is one of the main drivers behind explosive price movements, because it creates urgency and removes hesitation from the market. However, it is also important to understand the possibility of false breakouts, because not every move above resistance leads to a sustained trend. And sometimes the price briefly breaks above a level and then quickly falls back, trapping traders who entered too early. And this is why experienced investors wait for confirmation, such as a strong close above the resistance level combined with high volume before fully committing. Right now, the market is in a delicate balance between breakout and rejection, and the next move will likely depend on whether buyers can maintain pressure and push the price above that critical level with strength, because a weak attempt could result in another pullback, while a strong move could open the door for a completely new phase of growth. What makes this moment even more significant is that the current setup is not just based on technical patterns alone, but also supported by improving sentiment and growing interest around XRP, which adds another layer of confidence to the breakout thesis. Because when technical strength aligns with positive sentiment, the probability of a successful move increases. And this is where things start to get even more interesting, because in the next part, we will look beyond the charts and explore the bigger picture, including external factors and hidden developments that could act as powerful catalysts for XRP's next major move, and why this breakout could be much bigger than most people expect. Now it is time to move beyond the charts and understand the bigger forces that could be driving this potential breakout, because price action alone does not tell the full story. And in a market like this, external factors often play a major role in determining how strong and how far a move can go. And right now, XRP is in a very unique position where multiple outside influences are slowly aligning in its favor, which is why this situation is getting more serious with each passing day. One of the biggest factors that continues to shape XRP's long term outlook is its connection to real world financial systems. Because unlike many other cryptocurrencies that rely mostly on speculation, XRP has always been positioned as a bridge asset designed to improve cross border payments. And this use case is not just theoretical, it is something that financial institutions have been exploring for years. And while adoption has taken time, the foundation that has been built is now starting to show signs of real potential. Another important element to consider is the ongoing clarity around regulations, because uncertainty has always been one of the biggest barriers holding XRP back. And when there is confusion about legal status, large investors tend to stay away. But as more clarity starts to emerge, it reduces fear and opens the door for bigger players to participate. And this shift in perception can have a powerful impact on price, because institutional money has the ability to move markets in a way that retail investors simply cannot. At the same time, global financial conditions are also playing a role, because we are entering a period where traditional systems are facing increasing pressure. And in such environments, alternative solutions often gain more attention. And this is where assets like XRP come into focus, because they offer faster and more efficient ways to move value across borders. And as awareness of these advantages grows, demand can increase naturally over time. Another hidden factor that many people overlook is the role of partnerships and network expansion, because the strength of a digital asset is not just based on its price, but also on the ecosystem that supports it. And XRP has been steadily building connections with different financial entities, payment providers, and technology platforms. And while not all of these developments make headlines, they contribute to long term confidence and create a stronger foundation for future growth. There is also the matter of market positioning, because XRP has spent a long time underperforming compared to other major cryptocurrencies. And this has caused many investors to ignore it or underestimate its potential. But this kind of underperformance can sometimes create the perfect setup for a strong comeback, because when an asset is undervalued relative to its potential, it does not take much to shift sentiment and trigger a large inflow of capital. In addition to that, the broader crypto cycle cannot be ignored, because markets tend to move in phases. And during certain periods, attention shifts from one group of assets to another. And if we are entering a phase where capital starts rotating into altcoins, XRP could be one of the major beneficiaries, especially given its strong brand recognition and established position in the market. At the same time, social sentiment and community activity are also beginning to increase. And while this might seem like a minor detail, it actually plays a significant role in driving momentum because as more people start talking about XRP and sharing bullish expectations, it creates a feedback loop where interest leads to buying and buying leads to more interest. And this cycle can accelerate quickly once it reaches a certain level. However, it is important to stay grounded and understand that not all catalysts lead to immediate results because sometimes the impact of these developments takes time to reflect in the price. And this is why patience is often required in markets like this, especially when dealing with assets that have strong fundamentals but are waiting for the right moment to gain traction. Right now, what makes this situation so interesting is that we are not looking at a single catalyst, but a combination of factors that are gradually building momentum together. And when multiple positive elements start aligning at the same time, it increases the chances of a larger and more sustained move rather than a short term spike that fades quickly. This is why many experienced investors are paying close attention to XRP at this stage because they understand that major moves often begin quietly without much attention. And by the time the majority of the market realizes what is happening, a significant portion of the opportunity has already passed. Now, the focus shifts to what this breakout could actually mean in real market terms, because while it is easy to talk about patterns, resistance, and momentum, the real question that every investor wants to understand is how far XRP can realistically move if this breakout becomes fully confirmed, and what kind of price behavior we might expect once the market enters a strong trending phase, because this is where things can change very quickly and emotions in the market often intensify. If XRP manages to break above its key resistance level with strong volume and sustained buying pressure, the first reaction would likely be a sharp, impulsive move because once a major resistance is broken, the market tends to reprice quickly. And this is not slow movement, it is usually fast and aggressive as trap sellers exit their positions and new buyers rush in at the same time, creating a sudden imbalance between supply and demand. After this initial breakout phase, the next important stage would be retesting the broken resistance level because in many strong bullish trends, the price often returns to test the breakout zone to confirm it as new support. And if XRP successfully holds above that level, it would signal strength and attract even more confidence from traders and investors because it shows that the breakout was not false and that the market is willing to maintain higher price levels. Beyond that, attention naturally shifts toward higher resistance zones, which are previous areas where the price struggled in the past. And these levels become important psychological targets because traders often set profit expectations around these zones. And as the price approaches them, volatility tends to increase as some investors take profits while others enter late, expecting continuation of the trend. In a strong bullish scenario, XRP could experience what is known as a momentum driven expansion phase, where price moves are no longer slow and controlled, but instead become rapid and vertical, driven by fear of missing out and increasing media attention. And this is often where the most significant percentage gains occur in a short period of time because the market enters a state where demand heavily outweighs supply. However, it is also important to understand that markets do not move in a straight line, even during strong breakouts, because pullbacks and corrections are a natural part of the process, and they often serve to shake out weak hands before the next leg up, which means volatility will likely increase, and investors need to be prepared for sudden price swings in both directions. Another important aspect is the role of psychological price levels, because round numbers and previously discussed targets often influence trader behavior. And when XRP approaches these levels, it can create temporary hesitation or profit taking, which leads to short term pauses in the trend. But if overall momentum remains strong, these pauses are usually followed by continuation moves. In terms of broader market sentiment, if XRP begins to show clear strength compared to other major cryptocurrencies, it could attract relative strength traders who move capital into assets that are outperforming the market. And this rotation of capital can further amplify the breakout because it brings in additional liquidity from outside the XRP community. There is also the possibility of accelerated attention from media and social platforms, because when price movement becomes noticeable, it starts to attract coverage, and this coverage brings in new participants who were previously not involved. And this cycle of attention and participation can act as fuel for further upside movement, especially in crypto markets where sentiment plays a powerful role. At the same time, it is necessary to remain balanced and recognize that not every breakout leads to a long term trend, because sometimes the market experiences a strong move followed by consolidation or rejection, especially if external conditions change or if buying pressure is not sustained. And this is why confirmation after breakout is always critical before assuming continuation. Right now, the most important idea to understand is that XRP is approaching a decision point where the market will either confirm strength and enter a new bullish phase or remain stuck in consolidation for longer. And this moment of uncertainty is exactly where opportunities and risks both increase significantly, depending on how the price reacts around key levels. We will bring everything together, including risk awareness, financial perspective, and what viewers should realistically keep in mind before making any decisions. Because understanding both opportunity and risk is what separates emotional reactions from informed market thinking. Now, everything comes down to how you approach this situation with clarity. Because while the market is showing signs of a possible breakout and strong momentum building around XRP, it is also important to understand that no outcome in trading or investing is guaranteed, and every opportunity in the market always carries a level of risk, which is why emotional decision making can often lead to mistakes, especially when price action becomes exciting or highly volatile. At this stage, the most responsible way to look at XRP is not through hype or extreme expectations, but through a balanced understanding of both upside potential and downside risk. Because even if the structure looks strong and the breakout scenario seems likely, the market still needs confirmation. And confirmation means that price must not only break resistance, but also hold above it with strength and follow through. Otherwise, false breakouts can still occur and trap late participants. Risk management becomes extremely important in moments like this, because markets can move quickly in both directions. And without a clear plan, investors can easily get caught in emotional reactions such as fear of missing out or panic selling. And this is why experienced participants always focus more on protecting capital than chasing sudden moves, because long term success in the market depends on consistency rather than one time gains. It is also important to remember that XRP, like all cryptocurrencies, is influenced by multiple unpredictable factors, including global economic conditions, regulatory developments, market sentiment shifts, and liquidity changes. And any one of these factors can affect price direction at any time, which is why relying on a single narrative or expectation is never enough to make informed decisions. At the same time, if the breakout does confirm and momentum continues building, the market could enter a phase where attention increases rapidly, and this often leads to stronger volatility and faster price movement, which can create opportunities but also increase risk. Because when markets move quickly, corrections can also happen just as fast, and this is why staying prepared for different scenarios is essential. So, from a long term perspective, XRP continues to remain one of the more established digital assets in the crypto space, with ongoing developments and real world use case discussions that keep it relevant. But relevance does not always translate into immediate price movement, and sometimes the market takes time to reflect underlying developments, which means patience is often required alongside awareness. For viewers and traders watching this situation, the key takeaway is not to make rush decisions based on excitement, but to observe how price behaves around critical levels, because the market always reveals its true direction through confirmation, and reacting after confirmation is usually safer than predicting without evidence. In conclusion, XRP is currently at a highly important technical and psychological stage where a potential breakout is being closely watched by traders and investors. And while the setup shows promising signs such as tightening structure, improving momentum, and growing interest, the final confirmation is still needed before any strong directional move can be considered fully validated. This is why staying informed, staying patient, and staying disciplined is far more important than trying to predict exact price targets, because the market rewards preparation and consistency, not emotional reactions or impulsive decisions. Financial disclaimer: this content is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Cryptocurrency markets are highly volatile and risky, and you should always do your own research before making any investment decisions. Never invest more than you can afford to lose. If you found value in this breakdown, staying connected for more updates and analysis can help you understand market movements more clearly, and consistent learning is always a stronger approach than reacting emotionally to price changes.